Welcome back. Thank you once again for joining us. And now this is a time of year when many people will be looking to further their tertiary education. Most universities, however, across the country will not be accepting any walk-in applications or late applications of matriculants who fail to apply for space on time. Prospective students were encouraged to apply to university the year prior to their completion of their grade 12. Some of them were actually encouraged to apply with their June exams for grade 11 for provisional acceptance. Well, if that didn't happen, unfortunately, universities will not be able to accommodate those who walk in or who apply late. And you know the number of or the ratio between those matriculants who are looking to go to varsity and the actual space available, it leaves much to be desired. We're now joined by the head of Registrar at Wits University, Crosley. She's going to share more details on this particular subject. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ayanda.
Carol, it is too late for anybody who's just passed and is now looking to go to university but has not applied prior to this moment. Is that not so?
Yes, Ayanda, that is correct. Unfortunately, we would have to be telling the student that they have left it too late. We will have visited that school, hopefully. We will have relied on media reports in the previous year, been massive campaign to educate our learners, to say to them, please make sure you apply on time. Even if your grade 11 marks aren't that good, please make sure you plan ahead and get your application in. Most of the universities have a standard closing date now, the 30th of September. And we do feel that students have been given enough time to get their ducks in a row and make sure that they have planned for their future.
And those who try to perhaps try their luck and will be scrambling to universities at this final hour, is that something that happens quite a lot?
We do have inquiries, and most of the universities now are so oversubscribed with applications that I think we're all singing the same tune, in that we say to students, unfortunately, you have left it too late.
Yeah. And the walk-in applications, those who have applied online, they've received perhaps provisional acceptance or no answer from the university, but are wanting to go in now to apply or go in to check, that's been frowned upon.
Well, the processes, each university has different processes. So at our university, if a student had applied on time, it's actually not necessary for him to come into the university once we get the results, because we will have processed those results, and we've already made most of our decisions on the basis of those results that we received from the Department of Education or from the IEB examining authorities. So it's actually not necessary for a student. Where a student perhaps has been declined for their particular program, they may be seeking some kind of curriculum advice or career advice. And yes, we do allow those students to come onto campus because they are our potential applicants. So yes, Wits is expecting students to come in who have applied and who would like some advice or perhaps some information. But most of the universities, Ayanda, have got that information on their websites. We've communicated with our students via email. Most of the universities have got call centres. So it really is unnecessary at this stage for a student to be rushing to the university.
I'm glad you mentioned the website. Now, I know this doesn't apply to you specifically, but there is another university. It is in Johannesburg, so I won't mention any names. Unfortunately, you're going to have to take the flak for it. Speaking on behalf of a number of tertiary institutions this morning, they do encourage people to apply online. And the walk-in applications that they did permit last year were at a price that is higher than what you would pay online. That puts the rural or disadvantaged child at a further disadvantage, because here I am in Matubatuba or in a far-flung area in South Africa. I don't have access to internet, but if I want to go and apply for university, I have to pay 200 Rand, whereas those who can afford the internet get it for free online. How does that work?
At our university, we have a standard application fee, which was 100 Rand, whether you applied online, whether you applied via paper. And Ayanda, the reality of South Africa is that many of our students do not have access to internet. And until we are in a situation where every single province and every single little village has got access to internet, we are going to continue to take paper application forms. Obviously, we are trying to encourage the students to move away from that because it makes it it easier and quicker for them. That's the big thing, is that it's much quicker. And many of our rural students do go to internet cafes. They find themselves in a situation where some schools and some private institutions allow them to access, walk into their computer facilities. So many of our students have actually applied online. And obviously we're wanting to get to the stage now where most of our applicants will have applied online. But until we get to that point, we essentially can't discriminate against those students.
Yeah, so that's your university,
Yes.
but I know there are a number of those who do actually, if you'd like to use the term, discriminate. But going forward, what is to be done with those who are in the rural areas or who are in areas where the information or perhaps technology doesn't reach them? They'd like to advance their studies and further their qualifications, but they simply can't because there's a lack of access to information.
Ayanda, we have what we call our student recruitment office, and essentially they are schools liaison officers who go out, spend time going to the various provinces, Thohoyandou, Limpopo, Venda, and they visit the schools and they make sure that they distribute and disseminate information to those students. Last year we actually went to those outlying schools and collected paper application forms from them, particularly when we knew that the postal strike was having an effect. So we went to the schools and we collected the forms, and that is really our way of making sure that we try as best as possible. Remember, there are over 30,000 schools in the country. We're not going to get to every school. We can't do that. But there are also career expos, and a lot of the universities have got together now, and they almost have career exhibitions and career expos where they make sure that in a particular district or in a particular area that they advertise the fact that they're going to be there for that period of time, and then the students, the learners come to those particular centres. So I think there are ways around it that we can manage that.
Yeah, space. Another issue, and I'm hoping that you can perhaps stay, because we're going to have to take an ad break now, and if you can stay for another 10 minutes or so for us after the 8 o'clock news on Channel 404, that's something that I'd like to discuss as well. And also perhaps someone who's applied for a BCom but decided, I actually want to do a BA, changing their mind at the last minute. What happens to those, and whether or not there are some sections where you're inundated with students in one subject and nobody on the other, and perhaps there is a little bit of space there available to maneuver. All that we'll have to discuss after the 8 o'clock news. Thank you so much for agreeing to stay with us. All right, we'll have to get that discussion a little bit later on the show. Right now, a quick ad break. Morning Live continues after this. Stay with us.